The human's fist slammed into Laros's jaw with bone-shattering force, in a swift and brutal reminder that Lieutenant Commander Benjamin Morris and his Navy SEAL team were not to be fucked with. The lead Cardassian scientist stumbled back, blue blood dribbling down his scaled chin as he stared in disbelief at the primitive ape that just struck him. "I'm only going to ask you one more time," Morris growled, his eyes narrowed with barely contained rage. "Where are the weapons?" Laros spat out a glob of blood, his serpentine tongue flicking across his split lip. "You have no idea what you're dealing with, human," he hissed. "The weapons we've created here, they're beyond anything your feeble minds can comprehend." Morris grabbed the alien by the collar of his lab coat, yanking him close until their faces were mere inches apart. "Try me." As the rest of the SEAL team secured the research facility, Morris dragged Laros through the winding corridors, past shattered security doors and the bodies of fallen Cardassian guards. The deeper they delved into the complex, the more unsettling the discoveries became. Weapons that pulsed with an otherworldly energy, their sleek designs a twisted fusion of human and Cardassian technology. Schematics for planet-killing devices capable of wiping out entire star systems. And at the heart of it all, a massive chamber housing a weapon so terrifying that even Laros seemed to fear its power. "What have you done?" Morris whispered, his grip on the scientist loosening as the true scope of the Cardassians' work sank in. Laros let out a bitter laugh. "We've taken your primitive weapons and made them into something truly formidable," he sneered. "With this technology, we could bring the galaxy to its knees, starting with your pathetic human colonies." Morris's blood ran cold as he realized the implications of Laros's words. If the Cardassians unleashed these weapons on humanity, it would be a slaughter unlike any the universe had ever seen. Billions of lives snuffed out in an instant, entire worlds reduced to ashes. But as Laros continued to gloat, Morris saw something else in the alien's eyes, a flicker of doubt, of fear. The Cardassian was beginning to understand that he had underestimated the humans, that their skill and determination were a force to be reckoned with. And in that moment, Morris knew what he had to do. He and his team would stop this madness no matter the cost. They would destroy these abominations and ensure that the Cardassians never threatened humanity again. Because if there was one thing that Lieutenant Commander Benjamin Morris had learned in his years of service, it was that, when push came to shove, humanity would always find a way to come out on top, and God help any alien foolish enough to stand in their way. With a newfound sense of urgency, Morris and his team quickly divided their efforts. Half the squad would focus on sabotaging key components of the planet-killer weapon, while the others, led by Morris himself, would delve deeper into the facility to gather critical intelligence on the Cardassians' nefarious plans. Morris crept through the dimly lit corridors, his footsteps barely audible against the hum of machinery. As he approached the command center, voices echoed from within, a heated argument between two Cardassians. Morris pressed his back against the wall, straining to listen. "This is madness, Zorak." Laros's voice was strained, tinged with a growing sense of doubt. "The destruction we're planning, it's not right. There has to be another way." Admiral Zorak's response was cold and unyielding. "You forget your place, Laros. The Cardassian Union will stop at nothing to establish our dominance over the galaxy. If a few primitive species must be sacrificed along the way, so be it." Morris's grip tightened on his weapon, anger coursing through his veins. He had heard enough. With a swift motion, he kicked open the command center door, his rifle aimed squarely at the two startled Cardassians. Zorak reacted first, drawing his own weapon and firing a searing bolt of energy at the human intruder. Morris dove for cover, the blast scorching the wall behind him. He returned fire, the advanced human weaponry unleashing a barrage of high-velocity rounds that tore through the Cardassians' defenses. Laros, caught in the crossfire, stumbled back in shock. The raw power and precision of the human weapons were unlike anything he had ever seen. Even the most cutting-edge Cardassian technology seemed primitive in comparison. As the firefight intensified, Morris's team stormed the command center, overwhelming the Cardassian forces with their superior tactics and firepower. In the chaos, Morris managed to access the main computer terminal, his fingers flying across the alien keyboard as he downloaded every scrap of data he could find. With the critical intelligence secured, Morris and his team fought their way out of the command center, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. As they regrouped in the facility's outer corridors, Morris took a moment to catch his breath, his mind racing with the implications of what they had discovered. The data they had gathered held the key to unraveling the Cardassians' battle plans and the location of the planet-killer weapon. With this knowledge, they could turn the tide of the impending war, giving humanity a fighting chance against the alien aggressors. But as Morris looked around at his battered and weary team, he knew that their mission was far from over. They had struck a blow against the Cardassians, but the true fight was just beginning, and he would stop at nothing to ensure that humanity emerged victorious, no matter the cost. With the critical intelligence in hand, Morris knew they had to act fast. The fate of countless worlds hung in the balance. He gathered his team, their faces etched with grim determination as he laid out the plan. "We're going in hot," Morris said, his voice steady. "The Cardassians won't know what hit them." They infiltrated the heavily guarded shipyard under the cover of darkness, using a combination of stealth, hacking, and brute force to bypass the facility's defenses. Morris took point, his exoskeleton enhancing his strength and speed as he silently dispatched the Cardassian guards with precision strikes. As they delved deeper into the complex, a familiar face emerged from the shadows. Laros, his once pristine lab coat now stained and tattered, stood before them, a look of anger and betrayal in his eyes. "You!" he hissed, reaching for his weapon. But before he could fire, Morris's team sprang into action. They deployed a barrage of non-lethal weapons, stun grenades, electromagnetic pulses, and immobilizing foam, subduing the Cardassian guards without a single loss of life. Laros watched in stunned silence as the humans showed mercy to his fellow Cardassians, even in the heat of battle. In that moment, something shifted within him. He lowered his weapon, a look of grudging respect on his face. "I'll help you," he said, his voice low, "but only because I believe you're the galaxy's last hope." With Laros as their guide, Morris and his team navigated the labyrinthine corridors of the shipyard, drawing ever closer to their target. But as they approached the planet killer's control room, a figure stepped out from the shadows. Admiral Zorak stood before them, flanked by a contingent of elite Cardassian soldiers. His eyes gleamed with malice as he leveled his weapon at Morris. "Did you really think you could stop us, human?" he sneered. Morris didn't waste time with words. He and his team sprang into action, their advanced human weaponry unleashing a storm of destruction upon the Cardassians. Exoskeletons enhanced their strength and speed, while directed energy weapons punched through the enemy's armor like it was paper. Nanobots swarmed over the Cardassians' weapons, disabling them in seconds, while AI-assisted targeting systems ensured that every shot found its mark. But the Cardassians fought back with a ferocity born of desperation. Energy beams scorched the air, while plasma grenades shook the ground beneath their feet. Morris ducked and weaved, his reflexes pushed to their limits as he fought to keep his team alive. In the end, it was Zorak who called the retreat, his forces battered and broken by the humans' relentless assault. But Morris knew that they couldn't afford to celebrate just yet. With a final burst of speed, he raced towards the planet killer's power core, explosive charges in hand. As he planted the bombs, he could feel the weight of the galaxy's fate pressing down upon him. One wrong move and billions would die. The timer set. Morris sprinted back towards his team, his heart pounding in his chest. They had minutes, maybe less, before the charges detonated, and if they didn't make it out in time, well, that was a sacrifice he was willing to make. For the sake of humanity, for the sake of the galaxy, he would do whatever it took, no matter the cost. The explosives detonated with a blinding flash, the shockwave tearing through the shipyard superstructure. Metal shrieked and twisted as the planet-killer weapon, the twisted culmination of Cardassian ambition and cruelty, crumbled under its own weight. Morris, his team, and a shell-shocked Laros raced through the collapsing corridors, dodging falling debris and gouts of flame. "Move, move, move," Morris barked, his exoskeleton lending speed and strength to his stride. They burst into the shipyard's hangar, alarms blaring and emergency lights painting the scene in stark red and white. A Cardassian shuttle, sleek and angular, beckoned to them from across the cavernous space. "That's our ride out of here," Morris said, already moving. They piled into the shuttle, Morris taking the controls as Laros slid into the co-pilot seat. The human's hands flew over the unfamiliar controls, his AI-assisted neural implant feeding him information at lightning speed. The shuttle tore out of the hangar, the shipyard crumbling behind them. But their escape was short-lived. Zorak's forces, alerted to their presence, swarmed around them like angry hornets. Energy beams lanced through the void, the shuttle's shields flickering under the onslaught. "We can't outrun them," Laros said, his voice tinged with despair. Morris's eyes narrowed, a plan taking shape in his mind. "We're not going to outrun them," he said. "We're going to outfight them." He angled the shuttle towards the heart of the Cardassian fleet, the massive warships looming before them like metallic behemoths. Laros's eyes widened in understanding as Morris's fingers danced across the control panel, transmitting the stolen data. A virus crafted by the finest human cyber warfare experts infiltrated the Cardassian ship's systems. Shields fell and weapons powered down, leaving the fleet vulnerable. At the same time, damning evidence of the Cardassians' planet-killer weapon and their plans for galactic conquest flooded every screen and comm channel. Chaos erupted among the Cardassian ranks as the truth of their leadership's actions came to light. Ships turned on each other, some defending the status quo, others rebelling against the atrocities committed in their name. Amidst the pandemonium, Morris guided the shuttle to safety, the skill and precision of his piloting leaving even Laros in awe. As they cleared the Cardassian blockade, the weight of their actions settled upon the team. They had struck a blow against the Cardassians, but the true fight was just beginning. Laros, his gaze distant, turned to Morris. "I can't go back," he said softly. "Not after what I've seen, what I've learned." Morris placed a hand on the Cardassian's shoulder, a gesture of understanding and respect. "You don't have to," he replied. "You're one of us now." As the shuttle streaked towards human space, Morris and his team knew that they would be hailed as heroes, but they also knew that their victory was fleeting. The Cardassians would regroup, their desire for domination undimmed by this setback. As the shuttle docked with the human fleet's flagship, Morris and his team were immediately whisked away to a secure briefing room. The adrenaline of their narrow escape still coursed through their veins as they faced the somber expressions of the human military leadership. Admiral Hackett, a grizzled veteran with steel-grey hair and a face lined with years of hard decisions, fixed Morris with a piercing gaze. "Commander Morris, your team's actions have dealt a significant blow to the Cardassians, but we're not out of the woods yet." Morris nodded, his jaw set with determination. "We're ready to do whatever it takes, Admiral." Laros, seated beside Morris, leaned forward. "If I may, Admiral, I believe I can offer some insight into the Cardassian mindset." Hackett's eyebrows rose, but he motioned for Laros to continue. "The Cardassians are driven by a deep-seated fear of appearing weak," Laros explained, his voice steady. "Their aggression stems from a need to assert their dominance, to prove their strength to the galaxy." Morris's mind raced as he absorbed Laros's words. "So what you're saying is, a show of overwhelming force combined with an offer of peace could be the key to ending this conflict," Laros finished, his eyes meeting Morris's. Hackett considered this for a moment, his fingers steepled before him. "A diplomatic mission backed by the might of our fleet." "It could work, Admiral," Morris said, his voice filled with conviction. "We have to try." The Admiral's gaze swept the room, taking in the determined faces of Morris's team. "Very well, Commander Morris. You'll lead the mission to the Cardassian homeworld, but understand this. The fate of the galaxy rests on your shoulders." Morris stood, his posture ramrod straight. "We won't let you down, Admiral." As the briefing concluded, and the team prepared for their new mission, Laros pulled Morris aside. "I know you didn't ask for my help," he said, his voice low. "But I want you to know that I'm with you, no matter what happens." Morris clasped the Cardassian's shoulder, a gesture of camaraderie that would have been unthinkable mere days ago. "I'm glad to have you on our side, Laros. Together, we'll find a way to end this war." The human fleet, a vast armada of sleek, powerful ships, set course for the Cardassian homeworld. Morris, newly promoted to commander, stood on the bridge of the flagship, his gaze fixed on the view screen as the stars streaked past. Beside him, Laros studied the sensor readings, his brow furrowed. "We're approaching Cardassian space," he reported, his voice tense. Morris nodded, his hand resting on the hilt of his sidearm. "All hands, battle stations, prepare for anything." As the fleet dropped out of warp, the Cardassian homeworld loomed before them, a mottled orb of brown and grey. But it was the sight that greeted them in orbit that sent a chill down Morris's spine. The Cardassian fleet, easily twice the size of the human armada, hung in space, their weapons primed and ready. And at the heart of the formation, a massive dreadnought bore down on them, its hull scarred and pitted from countless battles. "It's Zorak," Laros breathed, his eyes wide with horror. "He's leading a rogue faction against us." Morris's grip tightened on his sidearm, his mind racing. They were outgunned and outmatched, but he knew they couldn't back down. Too much was at stake. "Open a channel," he ordered, his voice steady. "This is Commander Morris of the human fleet. We come in peace, seeking to negotiate an end to hostilities between our peoples." The view screen flickered, and Zorak's face filled the screen, his eyes blazing with hatred. "You have some nerve, human, coming here after what you've done. There will be no negotiations, no peace, only your complete and utter annihilation." The Cardassian fleet opened fire, a barrage of energy beams and torpedoes that slammed into the human ships with devastating force. Morris's flagship shuddered under the impact, alarms blaring as the shields strained to hold. "Return fire," Morris barked, his fingers flying across the console. "Target their weapon systems and engines. We need to disable them, not destroy them." The human fleet fought back, their advanced weaponry tearing through the Cardassian shields. But for every ship they disabled, two more took its place, a relentless onslaught that pushed them back. Morris's ship rocked violently, sparks cascading from ruptured conduits as the hull breached. "Damage report," he shouted, his voice barely audible over the chaos. "We've lost main power," Laros replied, his hands a blur over the console. "Shields are down, weapons offline, we're dead in the water." Morris felt a cold knot of fear in his gut, but he pushed it aside. He had a duty to his crew, to the fleet, to the galaxy itself. "Begin evacuation procedures," he ordered, his voice steady. "All hands, abandon ship. I repeat, abandon ship." As the crew scrambled for the escape pods, Morris turned to Laros, his eyes fierce. "Go with them, Laros. Get to safety." But the Cardassian shook his head, a look of stubborn determination on his face. "I'm not leaving you, Morris. We started this together, and that's how we'll finish it." Morris clasped Laros's hand, a gesture of friendship and respect. "Then let's give them hell." Together they fought their way to the ship's reactor core, a plan forming in Morris's mind. If they could overload the core, the resulting explosion would take out Zorak's flagship and cripple his fleet. As they worked, Morris opened a channel to the human and Cardassian fleets, his voice filled with raw emotion. "This is Commander Morris and Laros. We know that our peoples have been locked in conflict for generations, that the wounds run deep. But we have to find a way to move forward, to build a future based on understanding and cooperation, not hatred and fear." He paused, his eyes meeting Laros's. "We're about to do something that may cost us our lives, but if our sacrifice can be the spark that leads to lasting peace, then it will have been worth it. We implore you, lay down your arms. Begin the hard work of healing the rift between our peoples. Let our deaths have meaning." With that, Morris and Laros overloaded the reactor core. a blinding flash of light engulfing them as the ship disintegrated around them. The explosion tore through Zorak's flagship, consuming it in a maelstrom of fire and debris. In the aftermath of the battle, as the Cardassian and human fleet stood down, a stunned silence fell over the galaxy. The Cardassian government, shaken by the humans' restraint in the face of Zorak's aggression and humbled by Morris and Laros's sacrifice, agreed to peace talks. And though the scars of conflict would take generations to heal, the seeds of a new era had been sown. An era in which humans and Cardassians would work together, united by the memory of two heroes who had given everything for the chance at a better tomorrow. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.